What's the craziest way to celebrate your birthday and your country's birthday at the same time? There are a lot of options, but having a UFC event at the White House has to be near the top. In today's episode, we're going to break down the craziest facts about UFC Freedom 250. How did it happen? How much does it cost? Who's paying for it? And Arman Sarukian? This is Craziest Facts about UFC Freedom 250. Chapter 1, How it started. The event was first announced by President Donald Trump on July 3, 2025, during a rally at the Iowa State Fairgrounds.
Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind.
You're kidding me.
So basically, UFC was mentioned as part of America's 250th anniversary celebration. Then on August 29, 2025, Dana White was asked by reporters about the White House event, and Dana said, "But why did everything move so quickly?" Well, Dana White and Donald Trump go way back. Back in 2001, UFC 30 and UFC 31 were held at Trump's Taj Mahal Casino in Atlantic City. And yes, UFC 30 was the event where Dana White first appeared on camera. At that time, UFC had just been purchased by Dana White and the Fertitta brothers under Zuffa. The company was not the global monster it is today. They were struggling. They needed venues. They needed support. So maybe Dana still feels some loyalty to Trump from those early days. Even after Trump became president, he continued showing up at major UFC events, including UFC 244 and UFC 316. Some people criticize this as the political use of sports, but one thing is clear, UFC and Trump have had a strong connection for more than 20 years. Anyway, after Trump's announcement, a lot of famous fighters started reacting. But at that time, many fans were still asking, is this actually happening? Because let's be honest, Dana sometimes announces insane things with a completely straight face, but despite the doubts, the plan kept moving forward. At first, the event was expected to happen around July 4th, Independence Day. But eventually, the date was set for June 14th. So why June 14th? That day is Flag Day, the anniversary of the adoption of the American flag. But maybe even more importantly, it is also Trump's birthday. So on this very special day, UFC Freedom 250 is set to become the first major sporting event ever held on the White House grounds. And apparently, this event is being treated as a very important one. How important? Have you heard of the G7 summit? It's a major international meeting where the leaders of the 7 nations and the European Union gather together. In 2026, it was reported that the G7 summit was pushed back by one day, and the original date, June 14th. Some reports said the change was made to avoid a conflict with Trump's birthday and the White House UFC event. So does that mean UFC Freedom 250 is more important than the G7 summit? Well, at least for Trump and UFC fans. Then fast forward to March 7, 2026. During the broadcast of UFC 326, the official name of the event was finally revealed. UFC Freedom 250. Chapter 2, Venue. Now let's talk about the venue. The press conference is set for the Lincoln Memorial, and the fights themselves will take place on the South Lawn of the White House. Yes, the South Lawn. The same place usually reserved for ceremonies or foreign leaders, and now just engages leg kicks. So how many people can actually attend? The live crowd is expected to be around 4,300 people, and reportedly at least 1,200 of those seats will go to military members. The rest of the seats are expected to go to invited guests connected to President Trump, Dana White, and the UFC, including celebrities, VIPs, and possibly a few high rollers paying for premium access. According to MMA journalist Ariel Helwani, there may also be extremely expensive premium access packages for influential people, reportedly around $1.5 million. Anyways, even if you are in the military, it may not be that simple. According to reports, service members may need to meet certain height and weight standards to apply. They may also need to prove that they are real UFC fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even then, travel expenses may be out of pocket. So, can regular people like you and me watch the event in person? Not inside the White House grounds, but this event has something special for the public. Right next to the White House at a park called the Ellipse, UFC is planning a massive public viewing event for up to 85,000 fans. And the best part? It's free. Fans can register through the official website, and if they are selected, they can attend the watch party. There will also be a UFC Fan Fest at the Ellipse, featuring UFC stars and special activities. And yes, that is also free, but don't expect this to feel like a normal UFC fan event. This event is reportedly classified as a Level 1 security event. That means one of the highest levels of security in the country. Federal agencies, heavy screening, no drone zones, Secret Service energy. Usually the scariest people at a UFC event are the fighters. This time, it might be security. Chapter 3, let's talk about money. Now you might be wondering, if this is happening at the White House, does that mean taxpayer money is being spent? And is UFC, a private company, making money from all of this? The answer is no. Well, at least that's what Dana and the UFC say, but this is exactly where a lot of the criticism around this event begins, and we'll get to that later. According to reports, public money is not being used to operate the event. The UFC side is reportedly covering the costs, and that cost is insane, around $60 million. $60 million, just to put a cage in the president's backyard. And apparently, the lawn repair alone could cost around $700,000. That is a ridiculous scale. Do you remember UFC 306 at the Sphere? That event became famous for its huge production value and massive cost. But even that event reportedly cost around $20 million. This time, around 3 times that. And because there will be almost no regular ticket sales, UFC is not expecting normal ticket revenue. But they expect sponsors to cover about half of it. They reportedly expect to recover around half of the cost. Also, one more thing. Crypto.com, one of UFC's partners, is providing a $1 million crypto bonus for this event. That means fighters may be competing for a much bigger bonus than usual. So yes, the fights might get extra violent, because apparently normal money was not chaotic enough. Chapter 4, Fight Cards. So who's fighting? On March 7th, during UFC 326, the full lineup of fighters was announced. Then later, during UFC 327, another fight was suddenly added, Derek Lewis vs. Josh Hokett. Trump wanted Derek Lewis on the card because he is a big fan. And after Hokett delivered a strong performance at UFC 327, UFC offered him the fight. So this matchup became real. Anyways, did fans love the full card? Not really. After rumors about massive stars like Jon Jones and Conor McGregor, many fans were disappointed with the announced lineup. Although it would have been crazy if UFC had pulled off a surprise like Brock Lesnar's return at UFC 200. But still, this card has some huge stakes. And by the way, Arman Tsarukyan has been named the backup fighter for Topuria versus Gaethje. Yes, Arman Tsarukyan, the man who is always busy with side quests. Could he somehow steal the title through the back door? That might be the funniest timeline. Then on May 6th, the fighters visited Trump in the Oval Office. That day, the UFC Freedom 250 belt was revealed. First, the special UFC Freedom 250 Championship belt was revealed. Online reactions were not exactly positive, but hey, at least it feels special. Chapter 5, The Backlash. UFC at the White House sounds historic, but of course not everyone is cheering. So let me explain some of the criticism here. First, this is not just a UFC event, it is happening at the White House on Trump's birthday. And because UFC has a huge young male fan base, critics say the event feels politically targeted. So for some people, the whole thing feels less like a national celebration and more like a political campaign aimed straight at young male voters. And even some fighters are pushing back. Bryce Mitchell criticized the event by saying,
"The government is supposed to protect us, not entertain us."
Now, to be fair, he also said this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for UFC, so he didn't seem to be attacking UFC itself. Bryce Mitchell is known for making wild and ridiculous comments sometimes, but this time, a lot of people actually agreed with him. Also, speaking of Patriots, Sean Strickland said he was banned from attending the event after criticizing political figures and the situation around the event. And what exactly did Sean say? Well, I can't tell you that, because if I repeat it, I might get banned too, which is kind of the whole problem. UFC built its brand on chaos, trash talk, controversy, and fighters saying insane things into microphones. So fans don't really like the idea that the only current American UFC champion could be banned from an event at the White House, just for criticizing political or influential figures. Where is the freedom of speech? Anyway, then comes the money. Although TKO is reportedly spending around $60 million on production, and they are not seeking taxpayer funding, the event still requires public services, which means public resources and indirectly taxpayer money are still involved. And because Trump has had financial ties to TKO stock, critics are raising conflict of interest questions. Trump's side says the investments are independently managed, but critics still see a problem. The president is promoting a massive event connected to a company he may financially benefit from. And even UFC fans are not fully convinced. Joe Rogan called the whole thing a gimmick. And to be fair, he has a point, because this event could create a lot of unpredictable problems for the fighters. What if it rains? What if it's too hot? Fighters who have experience fighting outside say the amount of sweat can be insane, and it definitely affects the way you fight. If this is professional sports, shouldn't the fighters be expected to compete under fair conditions? Fans also expected the most stacked fight card in UFC history, but some critics say the card does not match the size of the venue. Lastly, is this really a UFC event? Or is this a carefully controlled VIP party with a cage in the middle? Because inside the White House lawn, you get just high-profile guests. Outside, regular fans watch from a public viewing area. So critics are saying, this is not really a fight night for the fans. It is an elite party wrapped in the American flag. So those are the craziest facts about UFC Freedom 250. What are you most excited about? For me, Arman Sarukian's emergency side quest.